Brother, let me know if you can hear me.
Okay, cool.
What's up, brother? Looking fly.
You too, man. You too, man.
Good to see you, man.
I love your haircut, man.
I know I got the inspired by Martin. Remember?
The new style, right?
Yeah. I
That's
feel
a pretty cool, man.
feel good, man. You know.
Well, first of all, man, I appreciate you for taking the time today to do this. It's truly an honor to be here with you. And I
Likewise.
know there's so much things that you know about style and about how to properly dress to impress. So I'm excited to be learning from one another today and providing that value to the people here.
I feel the same way. Likewise, man. I feel like we can always learn from anybody. You know. I do want to ask you, what's your age, man? Because you look like you're pretty young.
Well, I just turned 22 about 2 months ago.
You're way ahead of the game, then, bro. I don't know what I was doing at 22. Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's
man.
amazing. I
So
love to see all these young people coming in the game, and you know, it's refreshing because when I remember back when I was young and I didn't have no focus, and to see young guys like yourself doing things this big, it's impressive and it's inspiring, brother.
well, I appreciate that, man. I know all the good work you do with everything that you're doing, and that's inspiring too.
Is that your office?
Yeah, so right now I'm in the office, and it's actually, I was trying to set it up higher, but yeah, I couldn't do it. Anyway, so this is my office. From here, I do real estate and we do mortgage. We specialize in the mortgage more than anything else. And right now, with everything that is happening, it's a truly amazing time to take advantage of the market, how it is, because first of all, interest rates are historically low, and there's not many properties on the market right now. So it's hard to find properties, especially in the area that I work, which is the LA County area. And so right now, a lot of people that, because of all the pandemic that happened, all the people right now are basically, business still happening, but there's people that are just waiting so they can feel safer and they can move forward. So that's something that definitely is going to be shown, because now all the people, as things slow down with the COVID, people are starting to feel more secure, more safe, and they're starting to come out to be able to make that purchase, make that sale, and everything else.
Would you say that right now is like the best time? Because there's going to be a time where interest rates are they're going to go higher.
Yeah, the interest rates, they will go higher. And not only because interest rates are low, but because there's not many people that want to move forward because of everything that is happening. And with the shortage of inventory, the shortage of housing, I will say that it's better to act now, because once everybody decides to go on the market, you're going to have more buyers, other people like you, that is going to be competing against the same property, if that makes sense.
So it's going to naturally raise the price because now you got of course, a lot of interest in one thing creates more value.
Right, and it's going to be harder for you to get into a property.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
I see you got a lot of books behind you. What's one book that you would recommend for anybody to, just read?
The one book
One
that I
book
would
that you
recommend
read
to
and you're like,
anyone,
man, this whole thing just changed my mindset. Like wow, like you still remember when I just said it. I know something came in your mind the way that you smile. So, what's one book that
yeah,
you just?
the one book that I recommend to everyone, and besides, I have two books that I'll recommend. One that I have here, and the other one I don't have it here. This book, it's The Energy Bus. It's a truly amazing book. Anybody that is in business or is alive should go and grab this book. The other book that I truly recommend to anyone, especially people who are in business, it's Master Your Time, Master Your Life, which is going to allow you to learn how to properly schedule things, because sometimes, especially when we start in business or anything else, we don't have anybody else. You have to clock in, you have to clock out. And sometimes we're doing activities, we're busy, but we're not being productive. This book is going to show you how you can be productive. That book, I have it at home, and I don't have it here because here and there at night, I just go back to it and read it. So it's a truly amazing book, and it's super short. It's going to take like maybe 5 hours to read it. So in a week, you can.
I 100% agree with you on time management. That's like when you first start your business, that's one of the hardest things because, like you said, you don't have like a boss to tell you got to clock in, you got to do that. You're kind of doing whatever you want, so you're more prone to slack off. So being able
Definitely,
to
man.
manage your time, which is the most valuable thing in my opinion, is you're golden.
Yep.
And that's something
And
that even
so,
I myself,
one question that I wanted to ask you, Hector,
sure, man.
is, I see so many people who are in real estate, they're in mortgage, and they're assisting people with the biggest transaction, one of the biggest transactions they'll ever make in life. And they don't dress to impress, they don't dress sharp. What advice will you give people who are looking to get started in the real estate industry, mortgage industry, or any business? On it depends on the type of business, how you're going to dress, but for the most part, professional services, what advice, what tips could you give us? And what advice could you give the rookies that are coming up, or any person really? Because if you think about it, there's people that have been in business 5-10 years, and they haven't learned that.
I'm gonna split it into two things for you here. And first, I'm gonna say that being able to dress nice and present yourself in a professional way has opened so many doors for me. I feel like that has opened so many doors for me just because sadly we live in a world where people just judge you right off the bat like this. They make a judgment right off the bat by the way you look.
Yep.
And that's just the way even us that's just the way the human brain works. Secondly,
Right.
if you're just starting in the real estate business and you don't have credibility, you don't have anything, but you present yourself in a way where you look like a professional, of course you're going to be more credible right off the bat.
Right.
Another thing I heard somebody say once, he's like, I don't dress for me, I dress for my clients. I want to show
like
them that I got up this morning and I put on a suit, a nice suit, a nice tie, and I showed up for them. I showed up looking like this, because if I showed up in sweats or whatever, it's like that's disrespectful to them.
Yep, definitely. And I seen that. I seen twice. The first time I saw a real estate agent in sandals going on an appointment with a client, and I was like surprised because I will never expect that from somebody in the industry. But I guess it does happen. It depends on the standards that people set for themselves. And yeah, man.
And, I've seen a post where they said, the people in the suits look real successful until you find out they work for the guy in sweats. Well, if you're talking about the guy in sweats, you're talking about somebody like Steve Jobs.
Yeah. Some people that
these are people that they're just so smart. They don't like, But even if you look back at Steve Jobs back then when he first started, he used to wear 3-piece suits, double-breasted suits. Like before Apple was big, this guy was such a just a sharp dresser in the beginning, because his company wasn't big yet. Once the company got established, he was a big name and Apple was big. Then he became, he had his uniform of jeans and a black turtleneck and New Balances. That was his uniform. But before that, if you just type in Google young Steve Jobs or young, you'll see what I'm talking about. This guy, he's posing with his computers with 3-piece suits and everything. It's just,
I will definitely listen to that.
He knew he knew the importance of because, if you got to go to the board members, are you going to go in your sweats? You know,
No, sir.
if you got a meeting with important people, are you gonna go like just dress like casually? You know, I'm not saying you
Mm,
got to dress in a suit every day. I'm saying you got to have that one suit just in case. A prepared man is worth
yeah,
two.
yep. It's better to be prepared and not need it than need it and not be prepared.
Exactly. I like
Yep. So one of the things that I know about you is that that's one of your specialties, that you specialize in making people look sharp. How do you get into that, man?
Man, I started like many other people. I worked for free actually. When I was young, I had a
Mm,
family. I went into different shops and I talked to a lot of people and I told them, you know what, let me work for free. Let me work three weeks, 4, even 4 days out of the week for free. I'll take out the trash. I'll clean the shop. I'll do whatever I have to do. Just show me your skill.
mm,
Show me what you know,
mm.
and I'll work for free. That's before I had responsibilities.
Yeah, and
And
that's sort of amazing because you're willing to sacrifice that short-term profit for the long-term profit. Because one thing that nobody can take away ever is your knowledge, and once you got it, you can just monetize it.
it's crazy. A
And
lot of people don't understand. Even at the time, they're like, "Why are you working for free?" I'm like, "Because
mm,
I'm learning something that nobody else can teach me, and that's gonna stay in here, and that's worth more to me than a salary or a paycheck." And at the time, I could do it.
definitely. How long have you been doing this?
I've been in this since I believe 18. I want to say like 19, 18. Uh, but I didn't actually start my own business until in 2017 is when I officially started my official business on my own.
That's awesome, man. So, well, all you say, it's the one thing the one thing that motivated you to be able to become an entrepreneur.
I read a book by Brian Tracy. You know who he is?
Mm,
It's
yeah.
no excuses, I believe. And that's the first book I read ever. Like, it was like a self improvement book like the first book like that I read of that kind. And he was talking about like how he was just in a little apartment working like a dead end job and was unhappy and like he just one day he just like, what am I doing? This is we only have one life to live. And and he tells the story. It's a long story. I advise anybody to get that book. And he said, and he even starts talking.
No excuses.
He even talks about like you got to do the small things
Oh, look.
before you do the big things. Oh, there you go, brother. He talks about like even the smallest things, like waking up and doing your bed, and you know you got to start with the small things to be able to move to the bigger things. Because if
All
you
right.
can't do the small things, you can't do the big things. But it starts with, he talks about discipline. That's the number one thing that's going to put you ahead of the game. Because like tonight, let's just say I'm hungry. I have two choices. I have either a salad or a burger. Yes, a burger is going to be more satisfying than a salad. I don't want a salad, but that's what life is choices, man. You know?
Yeah, and I'm there with you because sometimes the way that we do one thing is the way that we're gonna do every single thing. And
Mhm.
like you mentioned right now, it's the small things that we start doing that are gonna give us the confidence to be able to continue into doing the better things. Because if you think about it, once you're trying to accomplish, or once you're on your way to accomplish something huge, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen just by doing one thing. It's going to happen by doing small things consistently. And that is going to allow you to build something extremely amazing, extremely great, which is going to allow you to just be able to reach that highest level that it's out there. Because one thing that I learned, and this is by observation, and I did it while I was running, is that sometimes we try to sprint when reality is that we're running a marathon. And we try to go fast, we exhaust all the energy instead of keeping that pace that is going to allow us to finish faster and get us more ahead. Because if you think about it, when you sprint, you're putting all your energy, and sometimes it's going to be just a short distance. And on the other hand, when you're running a marathon, you're pacing yourself and you're able to run, in this case, it's 26 and a half miles. So you're running way more. You're getting way more ahead. And it's because of that consistency of keeping that pace for a long period of time. And that's something that, in my opinion, discipline, consistency, and applying the right knowledge is going to allow anyone to accomplish anything that they desire to accomplish. Because even in business, you have to do things consistently, right?
I agree.
When you started with your clients and you started building a clientele, it didn't happen overnight. You had to start building relationships with people. You had to start prospecting people or just creating your pipeline, and you have to do that consistently, because it's like, you know, the one saying about the gym. You're not gonna get fit by going to the gym one time for 5 hours. You're gonna get fit by going to the gym 1 hour, 5 days a week.
5 days a week, yeah.
All
Well,
right.
yeah.
So most people, what they try to do, and I'm guilty of that, I used to do that, is that, oh, let's do this and let's just do it one day, but let's do it massively. But how about, I learned this technique because sometimes we want to overdo things, we want to go to the limit, we want to go to that extreme, is that you set a low bar and you set a high bar. So for example, if my goal is to go to the gym for hour and a half, I know I could be able to do it for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe 2 months. Reality is that eventually you're gonna lose some motivation because we are all human, right? So the one thing that I learned is that, okay, my high bar is an hour and a half, and then I set a low bar. So if, for example, that one day comes and I'm not feeling like working out for an hour and a half, then I don't have the excuse. I don't want to go to the gym because I have to work out for an hour and a half. But now I can do it for half an hour. That's my low bar.
Because you're
So
setting yourself up
anytime that
for
I go to the gym, it's going to be for at least half an hour, and the max it's
that.
90 minutes. And I apply that to everything. And I started applying that into my calls. I used to say, oh, I'm going to do 4 hours of calling every day. And reality is, not every day you feel like making 4 hours. And even though sometimes we push it, sometimes we don't get there. And what it does is that it demotivates you. All right. So what I do is that, okay, I set a low bar. Okay, minimum you're gonna do 1 hour of calling, and maximum, or that's the high bar, is gonna be 4 hours. If you do more, then great. But at least you have that flexibility of, okay, if I do 1 hour, I'm gonna be fine. But it's better if I try to get closer, or I get closer to that high bar.
Mhm.
And I apply that to everything, because there's days that physically you don't feel, and even when you push it, you're not gonna perform as good, right? So it's good to have those things. And yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think that's very important. And I love that concept because, like you said, one day you don't feel like doing it, but you still like do something, and like you already set yourself up so that it like balances itself out at the end of the day.
Right. And 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 this works along any industry, any career. When you're getting a degree, you don't go to school for one day. You go to school for 4 years consistently,
Mhm.
learning a skill and specializing into one skill. Because I see some people, and sometimes we get confused and we try to do multiple things at the same time. But the reality is that if you truly want to become the greatest at whatever you do, you have to specialize in one thing and learn everything that you can about that one thing, and everything else is going to be extremely easy
I agree.
in that field,
I
right?
do want to ask you a question. I want you to tell us your story because you're a young guy. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
29. You know, and you're doing like I say, you're doing way more than I like. I mean, me, I don't even remember what I was doing at your age, bro. To be honest. But how did
I'll
you get
be
started? What
super.
how'd you gravitate towards real estate, and how did you get started? Because I know now you got your own company, right?
Yeah. So I got started in real estate right after high school. And obviously, I already said that I'm 22 years old. Right after high school, I got into real estate, got my license. Honestly, the first year, it wasn't a year in which I was active. I became active the second year of getting my license. Um, so after I got into real estate, I've been doing it for now for the past 4 years. Uh, I've been doing it for 3 years full time. And the reason why I decided to go into real estate is because I knew that I didn't know what real estate was, but once I learned, I realized that real estate is the one thing that is going to help me and my family create wealth. And then I learned that you can also do that for other people. So that's when I made the decision to commit to the industry and commit to learning and become the best version of myself into this industry. And one of the things that I realized too is that, okay, many people or most people are not going to have enough money to buy a house cash. So they're gonna need financing.
Yeah.
So that's where I focus my energy, which is the mortgage financing. I all the time I say, oh, I'm doing real estate, but reality is real estate financing. All right. So I do that because I want to help people get educated and help them create wealth through real estate. And I know I'm going to do that. Oops. I'm going to do that by providing them with knowledge and information that otherwise they wouldn't be able to get. Because even though the process for me now is not something extraordinary, it's something simple because I've done it so many times. For somebody doing it their first time or even doing it every 3, 4 years, it's going to be tough for them. So I want to be able to be there for them to be able to provide all that information that they need, to be able to make that right decision and choose the right product for them. And I made the decision to open my own company.
Two things about what you just said. You're
Yeah,
providing knowledge. I think that's very, very important because at the end of the day, that's what we do. We provide value, we provide knowledge. And second thing, you said you're helping other people. And
yeah.
obviously that you get a lot of fulfillment from you from like if you could do your job and help people at the same time, that's amazing.
And the one thing that I love is transferring knowledge. Things that I learned in books, things that I learned from podcasts, things that I learned from mentors. I love sharing them because that gives me fulfillment, and it's just really amazing. So going back into the story, so last year after being in the industry for multiple years, actually in 2018 in November, I got my broker's license, and after I got my broker's license, I submitted the paperwork for my corporation, and officially I started in business March of 2019. So my 1 year anniversary as a full-time entrepreneur, right? Um, just happened right now. So I've been doing it for about 14 months, and let me tell you, the first
Congrats on that, bro.
let's go, man, let's go. The first 6 months were a great learning experience. And I'm excited to say that even though I thought it was going to be harder, it was hard, but I was able to make it and I was able to do so many great things last year. And this year, it's just even better, man, because I feel like we can always learn something new.
Oh yeah.
And but it becomes easier once you already made so many mistakes and you already learned some lessons. It becomes easier for you to get to the next level and be able to keep moving towards that vision.
Would you say that reading books has make you like I know they say like sometimes you got to make your own mistakes, but sometimes you can learn from other people's mistakes and not make them yourself. Would you say that reading books has helped you like for example, if it would take you 20 years, now it's going to take you like 10 years
Yeah, and
or even less.
one of the things that I say is that reading a book, man, is going to allow you to compile the knowledge that somebody did research on or specialized on for 35, 40 years, and you're going to be able to get it in a couple of hours. So that's just truly amazing. You get getting all that knowledge and you're going to be able to apply it. And I'm a big believer of if you don't have the right environment, create your own environment in which you want to be. And that comes if you're surrounding yourself with negative people with or the environment that is not going to help you grow, then the one thing that you do is okay, distance yourself from all of those things and become obsessed with books, become obsessed with podcasts, become obsessed with getting mentors, because reality is that we can all learn from people, but we have to go seek that knowledge.
I agree. You know what? And
And
times are different now, bro. Like back then, you couldn't. Like back then, yeah, you could still read books, but like we only had the TV and the radio, and
right.
you could only play whatever was on there. Now we live in a time where you can program yourself. Basically, you choose what you read, you choose what you watch, you choose what you listen to. Anyway, guys, that's gonna be it for now. I don't know what happened. We have some technical difficulties, but yeah, thank you, Martin, for joining us, and I hope you guys can find value from this podcast. And yeah, I'll try to get Martin again on for a second podcast episode. Uh, thank you, brother. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.